allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Good evening. Great to see everyone. Welcome. Do we have a motion to approve the meetings as of last month? Mark? Mike? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? So moved. Approve payment for service awards. Do we have a motion for that? I'm just going by the order right here.
And it's treasurer's report.
Huh?
It's treasurer's report. It's for, well, his report is first.
Okay,
Technically.
You can skip it, okay.
please.
Some of it's got to be discussed.
Okay, treasurer's report. Bill, what have you got for us tonight, please?
Okay, first we'll do codes, that's the one sheet like this.
Yeah, on this page, here it is.
We on the left, checking from January to July 31st, but that's not here yet. Middle's the savings account at M&T Bank, and far right is the New York class account. So you have to take the savings amount, it's $7,162.99, and add it to the New York class account of $82,880.76 for a total in codes. Okay, and the district's report. We've got 1 codes voucher, 5 credit card vouchers, 19 service award vouchers, and 45 district vouchers. Okay, the first page on the report, up at the top, 4th line down, should say financial position. I don't know what happened to it, it was there. I typed it. It just says position. Top of the, going down, M&T Banks, all the way down, shows those accounts. And then the New York class accounts. For our total bank accounts of like $4,646,000. And service award investment is there. Our total is $5,755,000. Page 2 is the 2, 3, and 4 are the budget versus actual. There's still a few figures there that are being worked on with the QuickBooks lady. They're getting there. On page 4 of that, there's one change to make. On the service award program to fund the past year, it shows $81,600. That should be $40,800, doubled it. Our budget's $48,000, and the bill was $40,800. Leaves us with $72,000. No, sorry, leaves us with $7,200 as the balance in that fund, in that account. Page 5 of the bank account pages. M&T Bank's at the top, showing the accounts and how much is there. And the bottom is the New York class accounts. And they should all match the front page with their financial position. Those numbers should all agree. Page 6, service award. Belgium. Seven is the principal and interest page. This Wednesday we'll finish off the latter one. We're going to be paying approximately $136,000 plus like $350 in interest, and that'll close that one out. So they'll only have their truck 2 principal and interest. Page 8 are the permissive referendums. New one is
Well, we
the
said in the last meeting, we dropped
number 4.
And 3, but there's a
Yes,
small.
yes, I wrote a little reference just to say, so you know, that was closed at the June 16th meeting.
Oh, I see
And I'll
that.
delete it off the report for next
I
month.
see that.
Very tiny print.
And then testing your eyes. And page 9, 10, 11, and 12 are tonight's vouchers. And we've got one change on page 11. Third of the way down, other insurance, the cancer. It shows $10,783.84. That should be $5,391.92. It printed it twice. I'm sure it's the computer's fault. So you delete, take away one of the McNeely Company. It's only one. Mark gets the bank statements. And I've signed paperwork to change from Lincoln, not changing, we still have Lincoln, but Lincoln has gone with Pershing. And we had to sign new paperwork to be able to transfer money from Pershing now. We did it all for Lincoln, and they can't just take Lincoln's, they've got to do a whole new paperwork. So it's got me, Amy, and Kit, just like before. But now we've got the forms filled out for Pershing. I think that's it.
We want to approve that audit.
That would be nice, yes. Yep, and this, unless you have any questions on it.
Do we have a motion to approve the 2024 audit? Mike, Kit, all in favor? Aye. Any oppositions? Okay, how about payment of the service awards?
You're gonna have vouchers to sign, so
Yeah, but you have to approve to pay it out of
Yeah.
the general
Oh.
fund until we get the check.
yes, I didn't mention that, thank you.
Okay.
We're gonna pay that out of the general fund because of this paperwork I do. We never know what's gonna happen, and that money might not come in until September, but it's supposed to come in this week. So that's what that means, approved payment of the service awards out of our general fund. to be reimbursed when this money comes in.
Do we have a motion for that? Mark, second? Mike. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposition? So moved. How about the report approval? Do we have a motion for that? Mark, second? Mike? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? So moved. Mark's got the vouchers tonight. Do we have a motion to approve the vouchers after Mark?
Bank statements, Mark has, not
That's
the
okay.
vouchers.
All right. We're just gonna skip around here.
I'll move.
Okay. Kit makes the motion, Mike's seconds, all in favor? Any opposition? No. Let's go back to the voucher approval.
thought that's what we just did.
I think that's what we just did.
No, we did the bank statement.
You don't have to approve the
No, you
bank
don't have to,
statement.
that's just a sign, you know.
Okay.
It may be the voucher,
Oh,
second as like.
better start all over here. And we're all set, we don't need to close out any of the municipal referendums. Just one question on that, we still have pickup truck is open.
He's got it documented, but it's really tiny. That it's
191238, yeah.
Yeah, that's number 3, that's super tiny font.
See it?
19
That was close. Number 3. And then number 4.
Never mind.
They read.
Never mind. Thank you.
I got it.
Get a drink here, start all over. Okay. Correspondence.
We got a letter from the auditors, Sofista, Hucko, and Barone, that the audit is complete, which you just approved. I submitted a letter just disclosing that my sister works for a landscape company. We were bidding for lawn and snow proposals, so I just disclosed her relationship with 2 companies and her affiliation with the New York State Nursery and Landscape Association, but none of her companies bid for the proposals, but just in case it was submitted. The Fire District Affairs was received and distributed, and then in the mail today, I got, it's been, I think, months ago, that we were working with the state police. They wanted to store a trailer at headquarters, but we were trying to get a memorandum of understanding from them, just saying who's responsible for coverage and all the other things. I got that today. So I think we'll have to sign that. I don't know if we need to send it to our attorney to review. It's pretty straightforward, but it's just basically acknowledging that they're gonna store it here. It's basically kind of a rental agreement. It's gonna start actually the 1st of July, which is, we're already past that, and will terminate the 30th of June, 2028. We'll continue the same terms unless either party gives 60 days written notice. We didn't say that we were gonna charge them, but in here they put a rent amount of $1, just to have something there. Department responsibility. We'll provide the state police with 1 enclosed garage bay with electric power to be used to store the trailer for the duration of the MOU. The department shall be responsible for all repairs, maintenance of the premises, and shall be responsible for the payment of any and all utility costs. The state police responsibility, They agree to use the enclosed bay and shall not, nor they're only gonna use that bay. They want us to let them know if we're gonna do any repairs that will interfere with them having the ability to access the premise. Anything can be amended in writing upon mutual consent of both parties, and, they're holding us harmless from any indemnity for damage, it looks like. Risk loss to or damage property belonging to the cities. So they have their own insurance coverage. And then, actually when we started this, it was signed, Kit Thompson was the chairperson, so we might just have to have them on staff. And then there's an acknowledgement to be notarized, which we can take. So I can send this out to everybody to review, or we can just move forward.
Was there something in there about renewal, well, I said renewal, but 30, 60, 90 day notice of.
60 days notice.
Why don't you send it out for review so that we can look at it? I said, why don't you send it out for review, so at least this way we'll have a chance to look at it to see what all is in there.
Okay.
We're just gonna skip through it.
And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Chief's report?
Okay, under personnel, sure there'll be more to come. We've been working with the personnel committee to try to get documentation over to civil service. We've had some challenges there for our CRR specialist. We've also been, as we have the 5 positions that have been approved to be hired, we've been discussing potentially canvassing the current firefighter EMT list with the provision that basically the canvass would be specific to individuals that have New York State 229 or equivalent. I spoke with OFPC Standards Unit today. We have the form, they're completely on board, we absolutely can do that. So if there's a candidate that has outside training that meets or exceeds New York State Part 426, which is the 229-hour standard, we have the ability within Belgium Pulse Rates to sign off on that individual, which would then make them meet the requirements, right? Because we're not sending anybody to a cabin. So the talk is we may be able to canvass the list, see if there's folks out there that have their 229. We know there's at least one individual on the list that has an equivalent that we'll be able to sign off on and kind of see what we get to look to expand our pool. So we've been talking about that.
Roughly looking at all those in number one group, and how many would you anticipate out of 5 that we need to use? Or are you looking for a full-time?
Not full-time, I mean, this is for those part-time positions, right? So just currently we're hiring laterals, right, that already are on the job. This would be now including into our pool of candidates if there's anybody on the list that has their 229 or equivalent that we're comfortable on signing off on, that would add to our pool of eligible candidates. So we could still do the lateral or we could do the list.
So how do you get the information from civil service that they have their 229?
So
Right that?
the individuals provide it to us
Oh, okay.
when they're answering the canvas,
Okay.
right? So in answering that canvas, they would have to provide us with that documentation. And then we would have to review
We've
that.
had people before, there's probably 5 that applied to
Yeah.
Belgium.
No,
They didn't have it.
they didn't meet the requirement.
They didn't have the 229.
Right.
You know, they just
Okay.
thought whatever department they were in, if they were a line officer, it counted.
Yeah.
It didn't.
Okay.
So we just ruled them right out from the beginning, and all that's in our room back there.
Okay.
So that's where we stand. Personnel, purchase requests and notifications. So we have 4 Wildland backpack pumps sitting in the back of headquarters that are not usable, that we would like to surplus and dispose of. We have 23 nozzles. None of them are in working order. The ones that were tested, several of them were tested and flowed well below what they should be flowing to the point of being dangerous. There's no way to identify, for what most of those nozzles are back there, there's no way to look at the stream that comes off of that nozzle and be able to know that. Right, so the testing showed that they're not really up to snuff. We've asked questions about if they were maintained according to the TFT books, they were not. We are safest to get rid of those. Not hand those to anybody else, not donate those, not let those go anywhere. We know some of those are flowing a quarter of what they should flow. So that's why I'm requesting disposal of all those nozzles, so that we don't set somebody else up for failure with a dangerous nozzle. And then the third thing that I have there, we have probably 60, 65, 70 pairs of rubber boots that are in the back of headquarters right now. 30 of those are greater than 10 years old. So I wanted to get a sense from the commissioners on what we would like to do with those. I know a lot of folks use rubber firefighting boots for home, for this, for that, for the other. If it's the pleasure of the commissioners that we somehow do something to open those up to the membership to take, or if we look to donate those, or if we open it up for membership to get their hands on them and then donate whatever's left. We do have 26, 28 pairs that are still within 10 years, so we're gonna hold on to those. It's an issue. That pile of stuff that's old, personally, I'll have to hand it out to the membership if we've got a mechanism to do that.
Why don't you try the boots with the membership, like the pallets, how many pallets are still? All
Almost.
We don't need that.
We will be looking for donations to bonfires that we can dump those things off on.
And it's too bad, I don't know where this person, I saw something on Facebook, somebody up north was looking for pallets to burn, and they want a large amount, so I thought ours were wrong.
No, we are 2 wide by 4 deep by 6 to 7 foot high. So if anybody sees that, I will load them in the district truck, I will load them in my personal truck, I will load them.
If I see that again, permission to reach out?
Absolutely, please do. We will, right, part of this is we need to get those out of there, right? They're gonna break down further, they're gonna become unusable, they're gonna become rotten, and now, instead of something that's burnable, we're gonna have piles of garbage that we're gonna be looking at to roll off just for that. I'd love to avoid that, right? Let's not have that expense for something that's for a bunch of pallets. But yeah, I would like to start with the membership first, get those out to folks, as long as, right, clear line that it's not going into the turnout boots, it's not for use here, they're not firematically approved, right? Wet basement, wet yard, whatever it may be.
We've got a form for the recipient to sign.
Okay, so let's, do you want to go through each one of these things individually, make motions and to get rid of them? Let's start with the rubber boots, 70 pairs, 30 plus, 10 years old, to offer them up to membership. We have a motion for that. Mark? Mike, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? So moved. 23 nozzles to be disposed of. Is there any scrap metal value to them?
Probably not.
I don't know. Cast, I would say if we're gonna do that, I would say dump it on, if the town's got a metal recycling, dump it on town metal recycling. I don't know that it would be worth.
Is there a way of making them so they're not functional before we get rid of them? Break them somehow, so they don't get out of the dumpster and into somebody else's hand?
Not really.
Okay.
Not, you know, minus it going up with a sledgehammer and taking as many swings. Right. You want to create a little mini raise room and somebody else get some stuff out. No, and that's why I think, right, with those specifically, I think if we dispose of them, or even if they went to recycling, Right, I don't see those coming back firematically. My true concern, right, is that it reappears firematically.
Right,
And they're just not up to snuff for that.
Okay, we have a motion to dispose of them as the chief sees fit.
Yes.
Mike and Mark, all in favor? Aye. Any opposition? So moved. 4 Wild End backpacks. What are we doing with those?
They're non-serviceable.
Okay. So we will dispose of them. Do we have a motion to dispose of them? Mike? Mike, all in favor? Aye. So moved.
Slowly but surely, we are making room for that state police trailer.
Okay. Surplus and auction, currently nothing you have, that?
Yeah, nothing for this month. I'll be reaching out. We're gonna be looking to move at least one more piece of equipment out of Station 2, old turnout gear dryer, and then we'll reevaluate where we're at. We'll be working in the next couple of weeks to get a couple of things listed that were previously approved for auction. We'll get this stuff disposed and slowly but surely start making space and start working through what we got out there. So there will be more to come, but nothing this month. For purchases, so I sent everybody a plan for the firefighting hoods. If you all had the chance to review it, really what we're talking about doing, and part of this it was an interesting series of events. A couple days prior to the cancer training that was hosted, I had heard of departments not issuing 2 hoods, but doing a shared hood model where there's always clean hoods on the vehicles and clean hoods in the station. Sounded interesting. My gut said, well, I don't want to do that, but it's because I've always been in the 2 hood model, right? And hearing that this was a real thing. Interesting when they came in to do the cancer training, the recommendation was actually not to issue 2 hoods, but to maintain a independent stock of clean hoods. And you basically rotate hoods through. You always have clean hoods available. We store them in a manner that they stay clean. That gives us the ability to grab up all the hoods and do a wash. As folks get done with the fire, we'll have hoods on the vehicles and hoods in the station. So really interesting concept, and then for it to be backed up from the folks that are doing cancer prevention, I thought that, for me, that was really okay, we really need to take a look at this seriously. So we took a look at it, broke it down, kind of what we would need to carry. So the plan would be basically in a small cotton bag. Right? We place a clean hood in a small cotton bag, and that goes on the apparatus that protects it from light, protects it from dust and debris, kind of keeps it clean. When you wash the hoods, you wash the cotton bag, and goes back in service. We look to carry 2 hoods on squad 1, 2 on squad 2, for engine 11, 21, and truck 2, 4 hoods each, and then in each dispatch, an additional 5 hoods. Right, so there's an abundance that puts us up to, what was the number, 26 clean hoods that are available for folks to grab at any moment in time. That's going to be well above what we're throwing out onto a structure fire, right? So even if we saw that, there's enough stock for clean hoods for the particular blocking. For our non-interior folks, we would maintain 5 hoods in each dispatch. Right? So push came to shove, they needed something on the scene, they could grab one of the particular blocking, who cares? In dispatch, right, if it's come back and clean their stuff, we have enough of a stock and inventory of hoods that we can continue to provide those. I thought it was a pretty interesting concept. We've talked about it, it got passed through the chiefs. And the only reason I'm sending it to you guys is because it is a departure from what we typically do, right? So I wanted to have the opportunity to have the conversation. There is financial benefit in that for us, and that even as we expand our number of folks, we are carrying less hoods. That is not the reasoning to do it. If the recommendation was everybody has 3 hoods, you'd be hearing me say, I want to buy 3 hoods for everybody. The recommendation was go to a shared, kind of like we're pushing towards turnout gear with a shared spare. Same thing but with the hoods, right? And then we just keep it clean, keep it in stock.
Makes sense. Any questions regarding that? Sounds good.
With that, we'll be able to get that order out this week. We'll start pushing to get those on the rigs. We will get information together and get an email out to everybody explaining what we're gonna do before we do it, and then get a second email out as we go live with it. So we'll make sure you guys are documenting that. The next thing I had in purchase is bringing up the non-structural gear again, specifically to the code. So I had a chance before the meeting to talk to a couple of folks. Right, I introduced this with last year's budget. There was some conversation in there. We ended up deleting it. I've reintroduced it for next year's budget, and we're having that conversation with the budget committee. But we fell into an interesting conversation as we were talking with one of our turnout gear representatives. What that particular manufacturer is doing is now, instead of that gear being custom, measured right to what your arm length is, right? So if you're surprisingly short with surprisingly long arms and that gear is never going to fit anybody but you, they are actually offering, they call it alpha sizing: small, medium, large, extra large, 2XL, right? So they find that intermediate fit, just like you would go to the store and pick a coat off a rack. They're building that intermediate fit for the coats. That gives us the advantage that if somebody parts, somebody leaves, that coat is going to be much easier to turn around and leave in service. I've spent time discussing it. I'm happy to discuss further what I believe the benefits are in this. I've got the coat here. If anybody needed to see it again, because we are doing wear trial of 2 sets. The representative that came in is a different manufacturer, and what they said they have seen as folks are kind of grappling with including this in their profile is that they've moved to the alpha sizing to make it more achievable. They're also seeing a lot of departments go to coats first and not do the pin yet, right? So they're kind of going 1 foot in, do the coats, you still wear your structural turnout for a car accident, but you can wear the lighter coat and not have all that half done top. I thought that was a great way to introduce this, to get into this and do it. The reason I'm bringing it up tonight is we do have a need to get some folks into new turnout gear that was approved in this year's budget. We're all set to do that. I would like to add the non-structural coats to that order. This particular manufacturer is holding 2023 pricing for us for a year for the coat, for the full set, but we wouldn't look to do the pants, we would just do the coat. So it's the non-structural coat, it's technical rescue, so auto extrication, going on EMS alarms. It does not have the bloodborne pathogen liner. We're not going to be buying that. Right now, we go on EMS runs dressed like this. Right, so really we're just looking at another layer that can go over. They are NFPA certified for auto extrication and technical rescue and for wildland. Again, our day-to-day use is really what we're looking at. It does have a zip-in liner, so it'll be appropriate for winter coat. That manufacturer, you can't wear that. You can't wear the liner separate. It would have to get zipped into the outer shell, but you can wear the outer shell without the liner. So you can wear the shell during the summer. They're not great raincoats, but they're better than nothing. And then again, if you're on those alarms, it's an appropriate garment for what you're wearing. Both Chief Melchior and I have trial sets. We found very good success with them. We would need to make some changes to our spec. We already know what a couple of tweaks are. And the other thing that I took a look at based on the conversation from last year's budget, and as we were working through it, worked to modify the requirements to make it a little bit easier for our volunteer staff to get into it, and put a qualification on our career staff to get into it, right? Because that was one of the comments, was it was a little too exclusionary because we had ands in there for the training. Now, I will stand by, right? We don't give everybody gear just to give everybody gear, right? You have to have training and background. So what we put in for the qualifications was folks have to be a New York State EMT or have basic passenger vehicle rescue or equivalent approved by the Chief's office, or New York State basic wildland, right? So those are the 3 profiles that we're looking at for that non-structural gear. So if you are trained in one of those three profiles, then you would qualify for that gear. Most of this would be next year, but again, we have the opportunity to tag on to turnout gear that we're buying this year, which would let us add the coats to that turnout gear purchase. For our career staff, we're looking at an average of 30 hours per month for the past 6 months. And so if our career staff's going into that new turnout gear, we would look to see, have they been pulling hours? Have they been? Yes, we're gonna add the non-structural code on top of that. The price is $1,000 plus or minus, right? So with one vendor holding old pricing, we're a little bit under $1,000. With another vendor at current price, we're right around $1,100. And that's for the coat with the liner at the spec that we set up for the coat.
Okay.
I noticed, looking from here, the spec on that coat, is it a peel off name tag on the back? 'Cause I don't think that.
That one is not, and we did ask for that,
Right.
right? So
Yeah.
we don't want the name stitched
that-
in.
right.
We want a panel.
Yep.
That was supposed to come that way. That's part of doing trial sets. It was also misspelled, so,
Oh,
right, we did a little bit of adjustment, but no, it would be a removable name panel again. Right, the goal is,
interchangeable anyway.
it has a 10-year life,
Yep.
right? So if somebody departs, we pull the best set off and hand that set to somebody that's qualified, right? So it becomes a stock item similar to our turnout gear. There's talk about our support folks, our exterior firefighters. We have plenty of turnout gear for the time being, where we wouldn't necessarily have to do this, or we could talk about a model where we do coat and bunker, right? We're doing it in tan or tan and black, so it's easily identifiable that you are not an interior firefighter. It is spec very similar to our turnout coats, but that visual difference of either the tan and black or the all tan, so that you know just at a glance that, right, they're not in structural gear.
Any more questions? Do we need a motion on that? Or
So
is this
on that
something-
one, right, so what we've done is we did not approve this in our budget approvals for last year, right? So I will ask for permission to begin adding the non-structural coats with the purchase of turnout gear. And that would just go with turnout gear for this year at this point, maybe later in the year when we see where budget is. We're really looking at budgeting this for next year for a full deployment. But this will start to get some of our folks in it 8, 9, 10 this year.
Do we have money allotted for that currently?
So we have
90,000.
money for the turnout gear, and we have a permissive referendum of $16,888 still open. Right, so with that 16,000 and that permissive referendum that's open, we can use what was budgeted for turnout gear, use the permissive referendum money for the additional coat, and that 16,000 will more than cover that additional purchase. We would buy the hoods and second pair of gloves first to know where we are on those things have to come first.
Just out of curiosity, what's the cost difference from this versus the
Structural.
structural?
So structural is getting super expensive. We are looking $4,000 and change, pushing $5,000 in the spec right now versus $1,100 for the non-structural.
We're looking at about 10 to start.
Yeah, I think we'll be 10. I forget where our quote was, maybe $3,500 for a structural coat. At any rate, it's at least a couple grand less. And yeah, so for this year, really what I'm looking at is deployment next year. But I think between what we have set up for gear and that vendor basically holding 2023 pricing for us, if we're gonna make this move, I think that's a good justification to get 10 coats, 10 or so, right? However many folks we fit for turnout gear. And then as we get to the final quarter, if we still have some money left in this year's budget for protective equipment, maybe add a couple more because we still have that pricing. But about 10 for
Okay.
How does that still fit?
So we're basically using the same purchase mechanism that we're using for our transfer. Right, so those vendors are covered under that. Yeah, right, they're authorized to sell all of these things under those contract mechanisms. So we're staying right within that from folks that we've already worked with. We're not going out separate and doing anything crazy here to bring in a different vendor. It's our stock vendors. So really a nod from the commissioners to begin adding the non-structural goods.
Do you want a motion on that? How about that?
Um,
How about a nod? Do we have a nod on there?
A motion can't hurt to do it.
And you might be able to have a couple, to see if it's worthwhile for the next time and the next 10 after that. People can share these or whatever. Because you may find after 10, we don't want these.
Right, and that's, right, again, I think that's part of the reason to jump in, right? Our experience has been good with it, but now we get it more broad. You know, I've given out my code to a couple of folks a couple of times, but our amount of information right now is here. I think for a fairly reasonable cost, we get our information to here. I do have faith that this is gonna work, otherwise I wouldn't bring it to you, but we don't know until we.
Well, I make the motion that we proceed with his recommendation.
Yes. Okay, made the motion, Bud second the motion. Any further discussion on that? All in favor? Aye. Opposition? So moved. Thank you.
All right, on to communications. So our work with Town of Lysander Chiefs on the response order guide, we've added to it. There's been a little bit of conversation. There's been a couple of recommendations. We are meeting again tomorrow night at 5:30, and we will see where we stand. Our goal tomorrow night is to agree amongst ourselves that what we've built is what we want to do, and then to take that back to our jurisdictions and start to approve these things as our running order and start to have that conversation. So essentially what we're looking at in this, so you're aware, is we are setting up and working towards a standard that if it's a reported structure fire, the first unit that arrives does one of two things based on the information and the conditions. They're either going to initiate vent and isolate search fire attack, right? And there's some qualifications and criteria for that. The second arriving apparatus is going to support that operation or do the thing they didn't. And so if the first unit in goes VEIS, the second unit in is going to begin to prepare for fire attack. Third, fourth, fifth, right down to fifth arriving unit. So we have it for hydrated district and non-hydrated. And we've got some other language and some other things that we're working on. So all in all, I think we're in a very good place to maybe even come to an agreement tomorrow on what the first version is for
How
what it
does
looks
this
like.
play out with mutual aid outside?
So a lot of places have this already. We looked at those models. We didn't adopt anybody else's model. Specifically with that first and second unit, we're doing something I think a little unique there for the area. Not that folks aren't doing that. I think it's part of what they're doing. We're putting it in writing. I think it fits with what we see with Moyer's Corners, first two procedures. I think, right, we are bringing in mutual aid, and really what it'll be is it will be sharing this information and saying, hey, here's what we're doing. It's not a large departure from what other areas where they've come to agreement on. I think it fits within that. We did that intentionally so it wasn't drastically different, and because, let's be honest, right, the firefighting priorities are firefighting priorities. So you're not going to see a ton of difference as you move around. We would share this with our outside departments, and then we would train on it internally, both with chiefs and line officers, so that they can know how to work this procedure, know how to guide folks in. Whoever becomes the IC really becomes responsible for that. So we want to make sure everybody's familiar. We'll get it down to where you can have a sheet in each rig. Right? So if our engine becomes the incident commander, they can reach up and advise, or pull out that sheet that says first, second, third, fourth, and they'll have a little playbook right there ready.
Sounds good.
Yep, so next meeting, tomorrow night, we'll see where we get. For projects, so the hose standardization is complete-ish. 21, the way the speed lays are set up, didn't take the full 200. Well, it took it, but you would never get it back out. You would never be able to deploy that, and you would no longer have a speed limit. So those are still at 150, with the hose set for it is on the rack for when new 21 runners. But everything else across the fleet is standardized. So a color hose indicates a length, and all of the beds, when we get 21, every cross lane will be set up the same. So front to back, it'll be the same color, same lengths. So very predictable, very easy to know what you have with. Hose test is complete. We had one 100-foot section of our brand new 4-inch supply fail immediately out of the box. So that'll be going back to Jerome to get returned and to get replaced. And I actually just found a section that did pass up at Station 2, but the inner liner is all wadded up, so I gotta pull that out of service tomorrow. We have a lot of hose up there. If you go into the back of headquarters, you're gonna see 8 or 9 pallets of hose back there at the moment. Some of that we know is way gone, some of that's already been red tagged for failing hose test in previous years. Some of it is waiting to see where we fall in ladder 1 and waiting to see what we truly need to keep as spare, but we've got all of that pulled off. We do have 400 feet of spare 1 3/4 at Station 2 and currently 200 feet of supply line. We'll also be sending off, it was approved in this year's budget, now the hose test is done, I'm gonna be sending off 400 feet of hose to get cut down into curb jumpers, 50s and 25s, because our curb jumpers are in desperate need of replacement. So that'll be going to Jerome at the same time the failed new section of hose goes off to cut down new curb jumpers. So that'll all be happening in the next few weeks. We're working on budget for next year. And we're also doing MDT research. So several of our MDTs are Windows 10 machines and are going to be non-upgradable come October. Whatever the newest news is on Microsoft ending support for Windows 10 and having to move to 11. A number of our MDTs don't do that. And the MDTs in our Chiefs cars are all in that and need to be upgraded kind of for the elements that we put them into. So we're doing research on what the best step forward is going to be. I currently have a trial unit in my car from a vendor trying a different model that we haven't been familiar with, so we gave it a go. We're having a couple of issues with that, but they're standing behind it pretty good. I've got a meeting with an engineer tomorrow to try to see if they can make that work right. So trial unit in my car if you want to see it and talk about it, and then we're also looking at another vendor. So that'll be coming. We'll be putting that together, putting together permissive referendum for buying MDTs. I think all but 2 within the fleet need to be replaced. We'll hold on to those 2 for at least a year so that our cost to get this done isn't all at once. We'll replace what we got to replace, keep those 2, and then look to get those 2 replaced next year or the year after. The other thing that happened with MDTs, and I'll jump into Chief Natoli's report, he had Onondaga County 911 come in. They were in last week and serviced all of our modems and MDTs to get them working properly on the 911 system. Squad 1 had some issues and they had to go back today and rework that modem and MDT, but we are now fully onto the county system. The county can see our modems, our MDTs in our vehicles, they can see where they are, and we're all registered properly up in that. So we're in a really good spot with those to then do new MDTs, new computers on top of it. And after all of that, now we come to policies. So I've got 3 big ones that I sent out last week. Personnel levels, respiratory protection plan, and risk management plan. I will stop talking and listen to what you all have on those.
box. I would appreciate having a special meeting where we can go through them, really dive in, spend a couple hours on it, whatever. That's what I prefer.
There's a lot of stuff. A whole lot of things, and like Kim said, it's something that we probably should go through and just work through all of it to see what's going on with it.
And I'm very open to that, right? These three policies are foundational, right? So I've said previously, next year I think we really need to do a head-to-toe policy review. I think that's really, from the chief's office, a priority for next year. These three policies are foundational to really everything else that we would be doing in that, or almost everything that we would be doing in that. Right? So I'm happy to take the time to do a special meeting and really dig through these and make sure we're in the right place. Like I said in the email, I believe in the content. I think we are very close to a solution, but absolutely want to work through what the questions are, what the concerns are, right? What the things in there mean and what their implication is, so that we're all in the same place to hopefully pass these three and move forward. These really do become building blocks of a lot of policy and a lot of how we conduct business going forward.
I have one concern, and it came up a couple of years ago, and Amy brought it up like 5 months ago. It involved the EMTs. And it's simple because you make all the firefighters go through the tow rack, and you got to do their physical part. And there's no physical part for the EMTs, but there is. And that's that 125-pound weight thing. And I think I saw somewhere you wanted to wait for April for this. They can do the 125 pounds out in the apparatus bay
Yeah,
and be gone. I can't see postponing that.
I can answer that one if you don't mind. So the training that we've already done in the last couple of months, EMTs that have been there have already performed those tasks, just like the firefighters who've already been there have performed all the tasks of the tow rack.
So if you didn't pass the tow rack, I know you used to love this, what did you do? You took all their gear until they passed the tow rack. So your EMTs that didn't do this, they would be done. The same thing?
Nothing yet, but the ones that have shown up have done it. So it's been performed. The difference too is the TOAC has an actual standard. The CPAT has a standard. The DOH, there's no standard to what the qualification entails. It's just a
125
phrase.
pounds.
It's the phrase, but it doesn't tell you how to get there.
Yep.
The TOAC actually defines how to get things done, the skills that are required. The 125, there is no, it's an interpretation. But I can tell you that the EMS people that have shown up to the calls, to the drills, have performed it. And performed it well. But everyone who's been there, the ones that haven't, they haven't been there yet. But when they do come, they'll get their chance to do it. The drills are set up. As soon as I see those people there, we'll get them there. How do I get them there? I don't know. They're volunteers, and some do and don't come.
So without there being a set standard method of doing it, how have you been having them do it? So all 16 of them, I know.
No, there's down to, I think there's down to 13 now.
Okay, you were last happy when you told me 16.
Yeah, absolutely happy, yes.
What's the standard method that you're putting them through?
The
125.
same dummy that's used in TOAC that the firefighters drag, EMTs are dragging.
That's more than 125.
That is correct.
Yeah, 160.
Yeah, that's correct. So if you've been on TOAC, you know what it's like, and the EMS people are doing the same exact on, they're pulling the same distance, they're using the same methods, we're using firefighter techniques to do the EMS, but that EMS technique is taught in EMT basic classes and also in fire classes. It's kind of a mix, but there's no real standard to it. But going back to what you were saying, the policies you have in front of you will actually help build that policy, the training and everything else, that backbone that we need. We don't have that right now. We have different standards and different protocols for different places. Putting it all in one spot and building through a Belgian policy would be helpful, using the other things as references to get what we're trying to achieve. Making sure that people that are assigned the position or have a role can do what's required by them safely.
And what we would look to do, right, so April and even out to October is less about meeting the physical standards, less about, right, what those personnel levels are. We're gonna create those buckets. What really we're looking for, right, is we would approve respiratory protection, we would approve all three, and then we have training requirements in there, right? There's a number of classes in there. Those are built off of the standard. Right? Those are built off of standards that exist. And I have said before, right, the training standards that were here were not really up to speed, right? There was no mandatory. So we've been doing mandatories. Chief Monkey's been adding a lot of good stuff. We have the challenge of external classes being required for positions. And that's where I think I recommend we give some grace in an on-ramping that if you were going to be a lieutenant, but we've added a whole bunch of classes that we give you time to show that you're working towards that, right? So coincided with a membership review, somebody gets voted in, sit down in April, have you signed up for the classes? What have you been able to take? Has it been available? Right, that will help us work through, and instead of an axe dropping, right, we give people time to honor. Right, we get to April, but the class isn't going to be offered until June, but you're signed up for it. All right, we'll let you get that class. We expect that you have that done, right? So that was really the intent of April, was an on-ramping for, right? We would move to scene support. We would adopt all of those positions immediately. And then the training requirements in there start to evaluate, start to see where folks are, start to support folks getting through those new and additional training requirements. Because there's quite a bit.
You had, even on the fire side, you had the one guy with 20 years and never touching a driver's class. We're gonna wait till April, right? We shouldn't have it in the driver's seat.
So driver is no longer a position.
Starting today?
It is starting upon you adopting. As soon as we vote yes on
I'm
this,
voting on yes right now.
driver is a qualification, not a position. Right? So you need to be one of the others, and then we qualify you as a driver within that position. Right? So it removes that membership category as being driver only.
Looking for a motion to put this in process.
No, we had talked that we were gonna discuss this, that we need to get together.
Well, it got quiet, I was just wondering, that's why I was asking.
Have you read it? Have you gone
Yes.
through it, read all of it?
That's why I had some questions.
Very good. Very good. As Kit had stated, I think that we need to sit down, go through each one of these individually, and then go over them. You know, get a picture of what's going on.
Set a date.
I don't have a date, but how soon can we do it? Next week?
I'm not.
What's good for you?
Beginning August 4th. So,
Go for Monday? Monday, August 4th?
You're asking for a special meeting just to review this?
Correct.
I don't think you need a special meeting for it.
I would also,
The reason for the special meeting is if you decide to adopt it, you can't do that in a work session. it has to be a special meeting.
And I also would like to,
You can't conduct business in a workshop.
Can you adopt this during this meeting?
You could adopt during this meeting, but it sounds like,
Then we could do it at the next,
but then you're putting it a month off. Where if you make your decisions when you want to, or say something happens in the next 2 weeks and you want to make a decision on it, it's the same process to hold a special meeting as it would be to hold a workshop.
if we're gonna have a special meeting, I'd like to, ask to reserve some time there for, budget. So what is, you asking,
August 4th.
for?
What?
Start at 6 instead of 7.
Yeah. Will work with everyone?
Before?
Yeah, we won't have chief control, but
6 o'clock?
Would you like that one to be recorded?
A special election.
Not necessary.
Alright.
Okay, that's good with everyone?
At what time?
August 4th at 6 PM.
6 p.m.
where?
Right here. Okay.
Is there any other discussion you want to have on that, or we want to save it for that?
I'll save it for that.
We'll move to Chief Controller's report. Like I said, he worked with 911 to get them in here. And then he also was able to get all of our gas meters pump tested. We had 2 that failed, he took them out of service. And Northwest allowed us to use their testing equipment, so they didn't have to go off, we didn't have to pay for it. We simply went next door, bumped them all, and got them back in service. So that's, I think, part of the model that we're gonna continue to work on, right, is we're working on things together, and we continue to help each other solve our problems, and not having to pay everybody to fix the problems for us.
Very good. Thank you.
Hey, so, quick question for Commissioner Thompson. You said you had concerns and questions on the procedures?
What's that?
The policies, you said you had concerns and questions on, just real quick. Was that on all 3 of them, or just one of them, or?
All of them.
Okay,
I have, and some of them I don't understand, some of them I just need some education.
so on my report, let's say for training, we recently had an EMS meeting for the quarter with Brian Felice, which is excellent. Had about 6 or 7 EMTs there. We did some scenarios, a little more advanced, and a chance for each of us to work their scenarios as a team and actually do some assessment and work through different issues that we commonly see, which was great. As the chief mentioned, hose testing just took place, and so last week we got a chance to actually, with the people that showed us training, got a chance to pull the loads, repack them, add the loops, fix them all, whatever we needed done, made them all nice and neat, and that was thanks to Lieutenant Harrison that was actually there during the actual hose testing also, so he led that and made sure it went well with that one. Other training we've done recently, as already mentioned to Commissioner Chura, was we've had people in gear more often than used to. You can ask Commissioner Harrison about that as Lieutenant Harrison. We've been on air quite a bit doing stuff. The people in this room in the back row and the other rows have been throwing ladders and climbing ladders and doing things they haven't done in quite a while, which is awesome. So if you come to training, you're getting your testing done. If you're coming to EMS training, you're getting your standards done. It's all just because we're giving scenario-based training that's including all that, rather than having a special POAC. We're dragging victims, we're moving stuff, we're starting chainsaws, everybody's got a chance to do all the different things, carrying stuff. So if you're coming, you're getting tested. The answer to your other question is if they're not coming, I don't have a good answer to that. I encourage people to come. We try to make it as exciting and fun and involved as possible. Some people are just not showing up. So I only train the people that come in front of me and will support them. The other last thing we got coming up soon is we're going to add in some more mandatory training, and it is based on upcoming lockout tagout, which is something we're dealing with, which should be and always, it's in training and it's actually included in basic exterior training. So we're gonna bring up that unit and everybody will get a chance to get a nice review or get it the first time, but it'll be something simple to go into our newer, some of our more recent training that's coming up. So if you're at training, you'll get that too, and then we'll chase down the rest of the people and see if we can get them to come to that training also.
So we have 2 full lockout tagout kits that we were able to uncover in the piles that we will be able to get on to 11 and 21. So we will get the training out, and then we'll get the kits on the reels where they can actually use it.
Yeah, there's a lot of, when we lock out, tag out, each individual person has their own key for the locks.
So right within our kit, Belgium has a key.
So we'll go over that during the training. Right?
You'll see it.
Yeah.
You can help me with it. I don't have a problem.
It will be in the training, and then right now in the kits, part of the reason we're not putting them on there right away, in the kits, those keys are unidentified, unlabeled. Right. We're gonna get a BCSFD red fabric, white lettering tag that goes on that key, right, so it doesn't get lost, and we've got an industry partner trying to cut it off, and we go buy a new lockout tag on, so right, we've gotta go through the kits, we've gotta make sure they're complete, all the snuff, they look like they are, we'll get the keys identified, Chief them up here and get the training out, and we'll get them on the rigs.
So that ends my report. If you have any questions?
Any questions for Chief? No. Okay. Committee reports, long-term planning, Mike?
Yeah, we had a meeting on the 29th. We discussed your visit to Arizona for the architectural building and how that went. Building versus new station versus renovating an old station. We had some discussion on that. Chief Gleason talked about a SWOT analysis and a GIS study, which I'm not familiar with, but we went over that. We're still looking at where to build and how to build and if we're going to build. So we've still got a lot of feelers out. We've got a lot of information to go. We're going to plan another meeting this Sunday at 7 at Station 1. So, I mean, it's a long and winding road for this, and there's a lot of discussion to get into it. It's almost like building a comfort. And we're on our way.
Okay. New truck committee, Mark?
All right, so we went out, did the inspection on 21. Found a few flaws that have to be addressed, nothing major. The company is very easy to work with. We came up with some suggestions, asked about the chief, he agreed to them. So that is getting worked on as we speak. Those flaws are the issues that we had. But other than that, it's ready for probably, I'd say, at least 3 to 4 weeks out before we get it. I will follow up some more. It all depends on how fast they get through those punch list items. But overall, the truck's a good looking truck, ready to go.
Very good.
Where are we on the sale of
The sale of the vehicles recently, the only one I have been in contact with a couple different people was Rescue 2. I had somebody out of Pennsylvania. I gave them all the information they wanted, and at this time they're still going over their perspective of purchasing it. I had another group reach out to me and was asking for a donation of Rescue 2. And I said, thank you for your interest in it, but not at this time. Nothing on the engines, still. But that's the only thing that I've got so far on the potential sales.
Any thoughts of adding more people listing it?
Right now I got Garage, which was highly recommended. I have Brindley, also highly recommended. I don't know where else I could go to. I could do the DMA, I believe. You contact him.
DMA is local. There's also
Yeah.
a gentleman that services northern and northeastern New York.
Okay.
Chief Show.
Okay.
He's Adirondack, something. I can find that.
Yeah.
I
You want to pass it on and then?
Yeah, when I was talking to her,
We
he
have the
was
card.
interested in
Okay.
going with that.
Okay.
To the red bag.
Alright.
There's a bunch of them out there, and if you like the fire truck girls and stuff like that, they're the ones that sold truck to.
Right.
They work primarily the Northeast,
Okay.
and Brindley's out of Alabama.
Yeah, they're down south.
The marketing DMA works with a guy, partners out of the Midwest.
Yeah.
So the more you get involved with different people, you network with all of them.
Right.
Did we want to reduce the price on the apparatus?
I mean, we're still at 50 for old 21 and 11/21, we're at 25 right now. And nothing on either one of them right now. Unfortunately, the old 21, I get a lot of people saying it's because it's an American LaFrance, hard to get parts. Okay,
So do we reduce that more?
that's up to the body. You guys want me to reduce it? I can.
Let's try to get
Other vendors,
other vendors first.
Okay.
Do you ever think about reaching out to Spafford? Because all they do is drive over for trucks and want to look parts.
Never. You pass me on the information, I'll give more about contact them, give them all the information and see what we can do.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Okay, anything else? Life Center Public Safety. We had our meeting July 15th. We adopted the social media policy for the members of the public safety group. That was sent out to the individual chiefs for their signatures to participate. No meeting in August. Next meeting is September 16th. That'll be at Phoenix, 7 o'clock. Everybody's welcome as usual.
Which station?
Station 1. Budget and finance.
Well, we're working on the preliminary budget, hope to have that ready for August meeting. And hoping that we can have budget discussions at our special meeting on August 4th. And the meeting tomorrow.
So I'll be late for that. Okay. IT committee, as you heard, the chief is looking at the MDT, so there's more to come on that down the road. Personnel? Okay, anything on that?
We currently have 15 or 16 applicants for the 5 positions that are open at this point. We also, I got thinking about it, and I thought we have to go back, and this is something that Mike asked each of the applicants that we interviewed for other positions, did they want them to keep their applications on file. So we really need to go back and look at all of those applications also before we select which ones we want to bring in.
Well, I think the ongoing list that we have, nobody told, said, no, if I don't get hired now, pull my stuff. Everybody said, yeah, keep it on there, I contact them, so they're all good and still active.
Yes.
So we have not hired them yet, and I know there's 5 of them existing right now that have been interviewed, and there were no questions about hiring them. So you could hire them tonight.
I don't think we're prepared to do that.
Well, you approved it last month, and you had approved it the month before. Now, pretty soon, Carol's gonna complain that there's nobody staffing and accountability.
Well,
You have the potential of losing people here.
those we passed over for a reason, so we need to go back and reevaluate them. And then we've got 15 or 16 additional ones, so. And if we do, if we can pick from canvas that you're talking about, we've got quite a few possibilities.
So, okay, while you're on that, how did you do with the safer grants?
That's not mine.
Personnel was brought to you last month.
Well, the safer grants closed, search for a month, I think, but, no, we did not put up those.
Because that was discussed with our new list coming out. Even if we can take, veterans, or people that just have it, like we took a couple of people that are currently fired. It's going to offset the cost in the future.
I would report that we received a resignation from firefighter EMT Seaver. I don't know that we have to accept resignation. I think the resignation is effective when it's done.
Right. There are 6 positions available currently? Okay.
Mike, I believe the safer grants are still frozen by the Trump administration, so, there's, may not even be an opportunity because of somebody wanting to bury.
And the skid thing is froze or got rid of a whole bunch of things, and then if you didn't do the paperwork, with a hole, a lot of his stuff has been reversed. So, the only guarantee we have is if we don't apply, we won't get it.
Okay. Truck maintenance?
I haven't heard of anything. I believe M2 went out for something. It was up at Goodyear.
Oil change.
Inspection.
Oil inspection.
Okay.
Actually, didn't need the oil change, just inspection.
Okay. Also on that note, I know we have the new barcode for anything. Can I be included on those emails or anything? So if someone scans it, we know what's going on. We have no clue of any information.
We have reported those to you as they happen.
So I think that, as I said, that we need to, as Mark just said, that we need to be involved in that, so that when that gets scanned to whoever it gets scanned to, we should be included on that. Whether we do anything with it or not, we should be included on it. Reason being, when the ice machine was down, didn't know if anybody was handling it. I went through Amy just to make sure that nobody was already on that, because I didn't want to have 2 different companies coming in here to take care of it. So just so that we're aware of it. As we're working through these things without a caretaker, I think that we need to be informed of what's going on.
As long as you guys handle it, that's great. I mean, that's perfect, but just keep us within the loop.
Yeah,
That's all.
right, and we are absolutely trying to share as best we can, right? There is no attempt to hide anything, right? Transparency is 100% what we're working towards.
I think to add to what Charlie was saying, and for simplicity, instead of picking 1 or 2 emails to make it say, hit the one button that says commissioners, and then if I see it, I know Charlie also got it. I also know Mark got it.
Right.
And I know Mike Malone got it.
I mean, right, so I'm okay with that, but when that comes in, we also need to make sure that Commissioners aren't making phone calls and managing that.
Right,
Directly, right, that's.
No, it's just basically-
That needs to be us doing that.
Right, it's just an informational.
So
that's all.
here's the thing. Firematic, not firematic.
Still the
The ice
chief's office
machine.
job.
I understand that, but
And we worked the ice machine. It got emptied that morning. It needed 24 hours to get a reset. It needed a cleaning. That got worked on immediately. Immediately. Right, so there was no delay in that. There was no delay. It was, right, so part of what's important here is the chief's office has to know what's happening with our buildings and our apparatus and our movement. If we put this out to commissioners and we get back to this got managed, this got managed, this got managed, this got managed, and we don't have that communication, right,
and that's what I'm saying, is that
that is our
you're
job.
managing it, I want to be aware of it.
That's
We want
fine.
to be aware of it, so.
And that's-
So when you get the code, send it to us.
I'm good with that, right, as long as we're all on the same page that, right, chief's office is we're gonna do our job and take care of these things.
Okay.
And that just cut it down to 2 emails or 2 groups, the commissioners and the chiefs. Boom, everybody knows.
Very good. Okay. Building maintenance.
All right. Commissioner LaFreeze has been working with an outside agency coming in to take a look at our parking lot still. We have another quote that came in. And this one, I covered up his name. Can't read his name because I stapled through it. But his quote is total of $77,000, and they will be doing double drainage instead of a single drain pipe going through the blacktop, tying it into the drain, and they will also be paving more area than what the other 2 quotes that we got in. They will be basically going from the end of dispatch all the way down to the big parking lot, to the large open parking lot, up to the road. And that is a bigger square footage than what the other 2 companies have quoted us. Walbridge and Corbridge.
So they're digging down, they're removing the old material, putting the material down, and then just doing a larger area, like Mark said, larger area for less money, believe it or not. More for less. Pardon me?
I know that's the day out of,
It's a day.
Yeah.
is the date,
It's a day.
for all that?
Yep.
Pretty much.
So when the time comes, we're looking at probably a month or 2 down the road. We'll have the engine, we'll just have the engine down at this end down, we'll bed it down there so that everything's all set. So we shouldn't have an issue as far as.
We'll just work and correspond, move things around.
Keep you aware. So,
But
So that some of these old ones were on county bid or something.
you had Ruston paving and Salt Springs paving.
So,
Salt
2.
Springs was on bid, I believe.
Yes.
so who's the new one?
Davis, Walbridge.
What's that?
Davis, Walbridge.
The reason I'm asking is that, you know, these were
We can't.
county contract or whatever.
This guy apparently has done work also
It
for the
doesn't-
school.
It would still have to go out to bid.
Yeah, that's the problem.
We can't just take, at that amount, it has to go to bid.
If it was county contract.
Unless it's on county or state contract, it'll have to go to bid, even if it's lower than the county bid.
If he's worked for the schools,
Probably.
he's gotta be somewhat on county, and I would think he's on county or state. Because he said he's done stuff with school districts.
Unless the school district bid it, which they may have. They have the same
Right.
procedures we do.
Right. But that's another perspective that we had, so you got 3 of them. and we keep waiting longer and longer, it's gonna get into the fall and winter time to get this driveway
A
done.
couple months ago, we said we were putting it out to bid.
Yep.
I put the spec together and you guys
Yeah.
wanted to make changes to it so we could put it out to bid. We're still in the same, according to our procurement policy, which is in your folders, it still has to go out to bid at that amount.
You can use the scope of work, if that's the scope of work you want, you can use that scope of work when you drop. the
Right,
bid.
and the reason was the depth that you had here, that's why we didn't like that, was the amount of material that was being removed. So we'll rewrite this and then we'll send it out for bid.
And we could do it quick enough, so we could approve it at the next meeting, or maybe our special meeting. What if we opened the bids, that day or something? If we advertise it, this week, we could open the bids on the 4th or the 5th. We could award the bid that night, special meeting, not a work session.
Don't you need a public referendum for the amount of money to take it out of, because you don't have that much money in your budget to do that, so you're gonna have to take it out of,
Permissive referendum.
so you need to get that, well, you can do that still at the same time now.
And hope that it doesn't end for normal.
Just do it anyway.
I mean, you could do the permissive referendum. If you spend it all, you spend it all. If you don't, you don't.
If we're looking at 77, we could do a permissive referendum for 85.
Yep.
And then if we awarded the bid August 5th, we told them we couldn't go money until the permissive referendum is.
Okay.
Okay, well, I make a motion, we approve 85,000, taking $85,000 out of the capital reserve for buildings and grounds. For paving, just paving, but
Paving repair and drainage.
paving repairs and drainage.
Do you have a second? Mark, any discussion? All in favor? Opposition? So moved. Thank you. Okay. Any update on the washer dryer?
I'm still at a standstill.
Okay.
Street.
Lawn care, yep. We've got we have enough bids for lawn and snow service last week. So everyone had a chance to look at these?
Is it one company or is it more than one?
There's only one.
Did we advertise besides the people you need?
Yes, it was in the paper and we sent it to a few vendors locally and then my sister shared it within the New York State Landscape Association and I think I sent it to 3 or 4 that work with other people that we know. But it was advertised in the paper.
We really anticipated a couple more.
I did, there were 2, one that stopped in and then one that, and he reached out and said he was gonna bid it, but he never got to me.
So this price is for the remainder of the year as far as the mowing goes. We've got snow, it's all pretty much self-explanatory for what he's got.
That's doing all 3 buildings for snow?
Yes.
And then the only question I have is the de-icer, so that's 16.9 on top of 9, so 17 on 9. Would be your de-icer, your salt, we're gonna want that down, especially how this parking lot is.
Right, so the and we discussed that with him, the way that it was he would come in and as part of the snow plowing that they would put the de-icer down. If we called to have them come in, at that point it would be too late. So he said this way it gets a little bit easier. We come in, we take care of it, we do it, it's done. There's no need for you to call us when, because with the two different locations, we've got, you may have a snow event here and nothing over at Station 2 or headquarters, or vice versa. So, seems to make sense.
It makes it easier for them, right? It's part of their, because they use then the de-icer as part of their snow management too. So the overall impact is a lot. The overall result of doing that versus doing it on a call basis is a better result and a safer lot.
Right. So it's gonna be 16 plus. But the only other question I have, I looked them up. They don't do any service out this way. They're basically from Saudi south, according to their map if you go on their website.
They do
Okay, but
Northwest.
they have contracts
So
like
they
this.
do Northwest?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
And they do Conifer.
So they just need to update their website. 'Cause I was
And they
looking at
do
their maps and
three
the map
other-
showed everything south.
They do 3 other fire departments,
Okay.
or fire districts.
Okay, so do we have a motion to go with them for at least the lawn and snow for this year?
I don't know, are we ready to do the snow? I mean,
Let's do the lawn then.
Let's finish up the year with the lawn.
So we'll make a motion to go with Yardsmith for the remainder of the year for the lawn service.
That they'd like to redo for winter.
You make that motion?
I made the motion.
I'll second.
Get second, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moved. Thank you. Fire prevention.
Tomorrow is the Radisson Summer Rec Program for 9 a.m. You be there? I'll be there anyway. It's at 9 a.m. I'll look it up. Little Loops came and went. Also, Little Kids Big Trucks came and went. Unfortunately, I was not able to attend those, but how would they have, did anyone here attend for those? To let me know how it went.
I did Little Loops. Little Loops was well attended by the kids. Unable to go to the big trucks.
All right.
That was Lynn and I and Tommy and Kit. We went to that.
Yeah,
It
good
was
luck.
it was a warm day.
That's all I got.
That'll be a yearly thing.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the town did a great job, and we've got plans for next year, has a date for next year, I think the second Saturday in July again. If they got their feet wet, and they're gonna move forward.
Should be bigger every year.
And just want to thank Kevin for town supervisor for all of his effort, all the work that he put into it. So came out very well. I think there's a lot of happy people, a lot of happy kids there. So bigger, better next year. Okay, old business. We've got the policy 00047, training stipend.
No changes from last month. Nobody contacted me with suggestions or ideas or problems. So, I guess I would move for adoption of 00-047 training stipend.
Do we have a second? Mike? Any discussion? Further discussion?
I'm in favor of this training. The only thing is, it was brought up last fall by Carol Curtis. Sorry, you guys weren't here for the most memorable meeting. When she said that nobody here could be trusted, and I'm worried about the at-home study. And people having the potential, and it was discussed that night, of others possibly sitting and doing the course. I don't know what the percentage is web-based or pod-based or whatever, but I think if anybody's going to get reimbursed, the initiative of leaving their house is worth it. That statement really hit home. And you know, the chief, Car3, mentioned that more and more of these classes are going to do it yourselves at home, self-study.
Awareness classes are.
So that's my only concern. But I like the program, but
I'd like to think that everybody's honest, that everybody would take the opportunity to do the training themselves and not take advantage of it. I think that we should at least give it a try, and if we can find that there is advantage of the situation being taken advantage of, that we make necessary adjustments at that time.
and this is state reimbursement first, correct?
Yeah, you get, first, the state offers it on certain programs. You know, we offer it on additional, but you can't double.
And I think, right, what you mentioned is important. And what I'll say to everybody, kind of like signing in for alarms, right? If folks aren't doing this above board because it involves public funds, if somebody does something and it is dishonest, it is felony, right? So we can share this with the department. If somebody lies about this and they're caught, they could be liable all the way to felony charges. There was just a fire chief arrested last week for falsification of training documents, and he's going down on multiple felony charges, right? So I think you're correct. I know that we have had folks that have somebody sign their CPR cards without taking the class. It's been reported to the chief's office multiple times. If that's going on, folks have to recognize that this goes beyond adulting. You are committing violations that could be felonies. And the department needs to start taking that very serious. Whether we restrict somebody or not, I don't know. I'll leave that to the board. But that is a very correct statement. We have people that are on the fringes. We have people falsifying their CPR cards. We know it for a fact. If you are falsifying training records, it's a felony. So I think between the board and the chief's office, if we do this, we need to be incredibly specific and let folks know that they have to take this serious, right? Because we are talking about public funds that we're going in. Cheating ain't allowed. It's illegal.
I agree. Okay. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Who seconded the motion?
Kit made the motion. Mike seconded the motion. Any opposed? So carried. Thank you. New business. Tompkins County Health Insurance Consortium.
So the Tompkins County Health Insurance Consortium reached out to them. I was given their information from DeWitt Fire District. Essentially, it's a shared pool. So there's shared risk involved, but it's all it's managed. The claims are all managed through Excelis. The insurance coverage mirrors what you would get with Excelis, I think, with the exception of physical therapy co-pays are a little bit higher, but everything else is the same or lower than Excelis. But they do have reinsurance, they reserve funds, they have a lot of things in place. so that if there is something catastrophic in one of the insureds, that it's not gonna, there isn't gonna be a huge increase across the board. By pooling the services, we would see probably about a $3,000, almost $4,000 worth of savings in our health insurance. It does give us some other options if we were to look back into dental or vision or some of those types of things. If we ever do get in a position, we do have a vote on the board. We would have a vote, and anybody that comes into the consortium has to be voted in. So we would then have that vote. If we ever move towards full-time career staff and they are unionized, they have a separate group that does any of the union negotiations and has those conversations, and then they have a voice with the rest of the negotiations and policy changes. Overall, it looks like a good program. We definitely would see some savings there. Unfortunately, there's, like, Excellus just came out with a proposed increase of, I think, 17%, I can't remember. I thought I had my folder, I don't, so this is all off the top of my head. They've seen over the course of, I think, the last 5 or 6 years, she showed me the numbers, they've seen anywhere from a 5 to 7% increase. It hasn't been as big as what we've seen through Excellus. So the next step, if we were to decide that we wanted to do this, the timing is good because they only accept applications once a year. The application would have to be in at the end of July, and then they vote, it goes through their process. I think they vote on it sometime before the end of the year, so we would know before January if we're in it, and then we have some resolutions and some things that we have to pass. But the next step would be for us to apply to participate in the consortium.
So, this is for health insurance now.
Yes.
What exactly is the town of Lysander doing? Is there any way that we can piggyback on theirs, or?
I don't know what they're doing. The Village of Baldwinsville participates in this. It's a lot of towns and villages. Town of Lysander, I don't think does. I don't know what they're doing with theirs. DeWitt uses it.
I think we talked to Tom Lysander at one time, and it was
And we're on, even with Excellus, we're in a government group, and we're still not seeing the savings that this would give us. This does, once we're in, we have to stay for 3 years, and that's only because if we have a lot of claims, they wouldn't recoup that. After 3 years, we could leave, we may have to buy out any claims. Fortunately for us, we only have one person that has health insurance for the district at this time. That could change.
Okay. Does anybody want to make a motion for that?
I will. Second, that we participate in the Tompkins County Health Insurance Consortium.
Keep made a motion, Mark seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? I didn't hear anything.
I didn't hear anything.
I
heard nothing.
Nothing.
All in favor? Aye. I'm sorry.
Okay, let's try that again. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposition? Abstention? So carried. Yes.
I've got a topic not for that. Oh, I don't want to interrupt you if you're
Go
still
right
going.
ahead. What is it?
Okay, no, I just noticed on here, the district set aside $4,000 to pay for the QuickBooks update. We've paid a bill $3,000 last month and the month before. Tonight's voucher is for $2,000. That's $5,000. I don't know what your pleasure was.
You said you still have more.
Yeah, there's still more to do here. This isn't a referendum, it was just, you earmarked 4,000 for this conversion. They're already up to 5,000.
They gave us a quote for 4.
I don't know, I don't know what that was.
I don't know. don't recall.
Okay. We're already over on that.
Yeah.
What are we looking to do here? What's the overall cost gonna be, any idea?
It's ongoing.
Huh?
It's on the QuickBooks, it's ongoing based on what you fix and what you gotta fix next, and here's the price.
They've been very good. I've been on the phone, it's just that, you know, I have a lot of questions, and we're still getting there, but I'm not done yet.
Well, we approved 4, we're at 5, what are we looking to go to?
You're at 4.
We're
You're at 4, the
Okay,
bills are for 5,
okay.
but already, this bill is for stuff that's already done.
Would you, are you looking for another
Another-
2,000?
I'll go for 1,000.
That'll cover where we're at, so,
Yeah, see
but we
bills.
gotta go beyond that,
Oh,
so.
yes, 2,000.
But that was just what was earmarked. If you guys sign the voucher, you're paying for it.
Yeah.
But does he have your approval to get another $1,000 for this order? But you also need to talk to.
I'm gonna have to call her, yeah, I'm gonna have to call them and tell them what our total is going to be. I didn't do that for 4,000. I don't know where the paperwork is they signed.
Alright, so do you wanna increase it to 5?
Increasing it to 5 pays tonight's bill.
Correct.
It doesn't do anything going forward.
And then at that point, we would be able to look at the contract fee with them and see whether we should pay for that.
Yeah.
If we had a contract with them for 4, is this additional work? And as I remember seeing the contract, there was an hourly rate. I don't have it with me, I'm sure.
I didn't see the bill in the vouchers.
The contract was for 2,500 to 4,000 for the implementation services. And then training will be billed hourly from 85 to 150 depending on the level of experience required. So that got us through the implementation part of it, and now I think a lot of it's been training until we didn't set, the contract doesn't.
Training is
Training can be
extra.
purchased in increments of 10 hours. So it's some of what you've been doing is training, not
Yes.
really.
Yeah.
So training can be purchased in increments of 10 hours at $150 an hour, over the high range.
Or should we go with 6?
Yeah, let's go with 6. Okay, we have a motion to go with 6. 6,000. Mike, second? Sure. Mike,
I'm sorry,
any
you made the
discussion?
motion?
Mike? Mike. Malone, sure. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So carried.
Thank you.
Okay. Public comments?
Can I add something to new business? Because I forgot to put it on here. The special election for the sale of ladder 1 is August 5th from 6 to 9 p.m. here at Station 2. Sorry.
August 6, 6 to 9,
August 5th.
5th?
Yes. Has to be a Tuesday.
Yes, sir, Mike.
Is there anything legally the commissioners can do to find out how to clear out fire hydrants that we can't get to? People have planted shrubs around. I've been kicking this around for many years and never seemed to get any. I just found another hydrant. You can't get to it. I brought it up many times and it's never, and none of the other commissioners seem to have done anything with it, so
So the answer is yes and no.
I can't,
The answer is yes and no, right? We have the ability to reach out to folks, make sure we have access, to work with them to try to make sure that it's clear. You can't go write them a ticket. If it's something that's critical, we can start to work with town codes to see what they have. But send it to me and we will look at it.
I talked to a lawyer that used to be in our department. He said if anything ever happened and we couldn't get the hydrant and something legally, I mean, somebody got really hurt, the homeowner could be held liable for negligence.
Yeah, but, right, so let's start on the path of having good neighborly conversations with folks and impressing upon them the importance of our hydrants and working together towards a solution versus waiting for something bad to happen. So
Well,
again, if you send it over, we will take action on it.
I'm just saying, past commissioners didn't want to ruffle neighbors' feathers. And
It's right because it's how you approach it. I'm not going in there and saying we talked to a lawyer.
Somebody's
Going in and
gotta
saying,
be-
hi, my name is Tim.
there's
We'd
got to
love
be
to
something
start talking
legally
about
that can be
your
done
hydrant.
about it.
Send it to me.
The chief has some letters.
I've talked to folks. We have a process for this.
Okay. I'll
Send it-
get, you want,
Yeah.
I even talked to Aqua, and Aqua, you know what Aqua told me to do? Get a 5-gallon pail, fill it with rock salt, go up and dump it on it. And then you got 5 years, probably nothing growing. So that, I mean, I'm just talking, I mean, you bring up about safety here, but if we can't
Right,
use
so-
a hydrant and we're on a house fire.
Right, but before we go doing a whole lot of drastic stuff, how's about you pass it up the chain of command and we deal with it?
I think I've talked to the town about it, and that's,
The town is not your chain of command. The chief's office is.
no. I just figure somebody should do something.
Bring it
Mike?
to the chief's office.
Mike? Send him the letter via email.
The
If that
address.
works.
I got pictures, I got some pictures.
And then give him the address that, where the hydrant is concerned, and he'll take care of it.
Okay,
Okay?
good enough.
Thank you. Any more public comments this evening?
Just the other thing here, if you've done,
Okay, looks like we're going into executive session. Do we have a motion to go into executive?
so if we were done with them, we were the public. May, we're still at 4.5 per alarm. 13 scratches. June, still about the same, 4.9. So the alarms are the same. Kit mentioned we're down one more part-timer. Mike Malone a while back asked status of our junior firefighters. We got one. And what's with the one? We didn't know who it was last time. What are we doing with it? Because we are required to do stuff.
He doesn't show. Isn't it Cole?
No.
Oh, Tommy had a lean case.
He only shows up at sometimes business meetings with his father.
Or did
Maybe, I don't know, sir.
You oversee them. So what are we gonna,
I'll have to reach out.
Not junior firefighters.
youth members.
the minors that are unsupervised?
But they're also not at the station.
Yeah.
That they're also not at the station. So you're saying they're not supervised, but they're not at the station.
If they're members here, they have supervision assigned by the department.
Yeah, he comes with his parent when he talks.
That's not supervision. It falls under the president.
I'm not sure if that's true. Looking at bylaws.
It's beyond the bylaws. So, and the only other thing is, because since January, we've lost a bunch of members and took down a few. Can we get an updated list to the board? And status changes. Because I think a bunch dropped out. That's it. Thank you, Charlie.
You're welcome. Okay. Kit made the motion to go into executive session for to his or her dismissal. I'll second it. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? We did not anticipate conducting any business afterwards. Thank you.